Alright, so guys, we are back with another Destiny 2 video. I've been uploading a few reactions to my channel recently, and the whole reason is because a lot of stuff has come out with the Edge of Fate. Now, obviously, a certain amount of people were able to go to Bungie and find out all of this information, and I've had a few people message me and actually ask me for my opinion as well. Obviously, I haven't been to Bungie, maybe one day, but I actually wanted to take a look at Scarrow's video here with both Fallout and Rikakis. You guys know these guys. They've been around for God knows how long when it comes to Destiny 2. And yeah, I want to check out the Q&A. I want to know what questions were asked. I want to know what the answers were. And we've got two amazing individuals on the left here, which is Tyson Green, the game director, as well as Allison. And we all love Allison because she's the lore one. She is the lore one. All right. I don't want to waste any more of time. This is going to be a little bit of a lengthy video. I'm probably not going to pause it as much as what I usually do. But yeah, let's, oh man, look how happy they are. It's so sick. Hats off to the lads. Really, really happy for you guys. Right, let's have a look. Let's see what happens in this Q&A.
Hi, I'm Tyson Green. I'm the game director for Destiny 2, and I've been with Bungie for close to 25 years now.
This man was around during the Halo days.
Talking to you guys today.
Hey, I'm Allison Lures. Hello, I'm the narrative director for Destiny 2. I've been here for 2.5 years, which is just moving the decimal from Tyson's number.
True.
I'm Fallout, YouTuber. I don't work at Bungie.
Awkward.
I'm Kakas HD, also YouTuber. Scarrow, or yeah, Scarrow.
Dr. Scarrow.
Yeah, I almost dodged myself.
Dr. Scarrow.
Well, I try not to go by that. It's a little pretentious, but also YouTuber, yeah. So
I love how they all introduce
you wanna take us
themselves.
off, buddy? Or
We just came out of a massive saga.
Oh,
the
straight
Light and
into
Darkness
it.
Saga, with the finale being in the final shape.
Yeah.
How clear of a vision is there for the new Fate saga compared to the Light and the Darkness saga?
Good question.
I don't believe in comparisons, but I do believe in having a plan. We have a plan for this saga. We know exactly where we're going and roughly how much time it's going to take us to get there. But one of our goals was to make sure that we knew where we were heading.
Yeah, true.
Because we were able to plan out kind of the big beats of what we want to do, we can start seeding in big stuff early. And so in what you played earlier, this is just the beginning of what's going to be a multi-year saga.
And we're really excited for this because with the Light and Darkness saga, we were learning a lot about that saga even as we were in the process of doing so.
Yeah.
So some elements we never had the opportunity to develop the way that we're going to be able to develop the Fate saga. There's, it's really fun to be building towards something that things are going to change as we go. Like, we're going to learn things, and there's going to be like things that are cool that we want to like lean more into. But it's so much more satisfying to like have an idea of where you're going to, and then like really start to like
Yeah.
into the early stage and just watch it all come together.
Yeah, there's nuggets in the Edge of Fate that we won't pay off for many years to come, which is really
Yeah,
exciting.
which is
are
expected. I
there
said
going
that
to
in
be
my video.
additional aspects of like the echoes that we haven't explored with the episodes, or was that more of like a inter thing, or?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, yeah.
But I will say that when we introduce any element into the story, I see those as ingredients that we should be looking for down the line.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we tell stories and make story sandwiches, we should be looking in the fridge for like, what's the ingredient that we haven't touched for a while that we can take out and put into this?
Stock the fridge.
Yeah,
Stock the fridge.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
If you treat everything as Chekhov's gun, suddenly the world becomes a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm sure. I mean, there's one answer for if you had a goal. I mean, obviously, for the live service game, the goal is to have a game to play, of course.
It's a pretty cool goal.
But pretty cool to have. But if you had something else that you would say to yourself, if the Edge of Fate accomplishes X, then we'll have achieved the goal that we set for ourselves. What would you say is that kind of goal or objective with the Edge?
That's a
of Fate?
tough question.
I think with the Edge of Fate and the sort of this big change that's happening to the game, it's to bring Destiny into a place where it can both be more consistent but also more innovative. And this sounds like those are in opposition, but like the truth is that
Bro's writing down questions, not
you're
even
sort of
looking.
careening through like development, and you're like reacting to crises and like things are hard because it's not
Fallout
really
Blaze does
designed-
not look engaged at all. I'm
it
just
was
gonna say
never
that
really
now.
thought through to, like,
He
last
probably
season,
is, but like
last
just
season.
like his demeanor.
It's actually
gives off
really
the
hard to
vibe.
break out of the molds that you're in. Like you're trapped. You have to just do the thing that worked last time until it stops working, and then you're just in more trouble. So what we've been doing with Edge of Fate, starting with Edge of Fate, is saying we want the core of Destiny to be tight, like to feel like it works really well and is like really fun to play for itself. And then these expansions and these events that we're building for it, they can be more innovative. They can try new things. They can like break the mold.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
can be their own experiences in ways that like past expansions could never be. Like it
Yeah.
was too risky to. You couldn't do something like Edge of Fate if that was your frontline expansion like 3-4 years ago. But now we can, and we get to do it twice a year. Like we're going to do something different with Renegades, and with the events, like something like Heavy Metal was not an event that we would have done
Yeah.
even a year ago.
That's true.
But now we can do stuff like that because the model is set up to do that. So it's trying to bring Destiny actually into a mature state where we can be successful and consistent, but bring those opportunities for like real, like unexpected variety.
Yeah, and on the story side, the strongest stories are ones that are built off a foundation of characters making choices, rather than things just like happening to a character.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that feels a
I
little
see
like
that.
kind of Dragon Ball Z, right? Like there's there's a new big bad guy and we beat him, and there's a new big bad guy. Instead, like what happens when we build a story based off of our characters making choices for themselves? The entire Fate saga happens because Orin decides to quit. And having our story's momentum be built off of that kind of storytelling, where it's the choices that move our way through the world and make the gigantic thing happen, rather than just like, well, it's time for plot to happen, so let's have a plot happen at us. That's the kind of story that we want to
Man, I have so
Do
much
you have
trust in
any,
her.
plans or ways that you're thinking about of trying to take like community choices into that? If you want choices to drive the world forward, it'd be cool, I think, for the community to have some sort of. I know it's hard to do in a game like this, but always something cool.
I think so too. It's that kind of innovation that Tyson's talking about, like making the kind of game where we can question what our game is in an interesting way and move that forward. As for the thought experiment of like how we could do that and what that looks like, I think it's worth a conversation. Definitely not currently a plan I'm willing to like say that we're doing, but I think that kind of asking ourselves, what is the game that we make and the stories that we tell, and how can we push that forward?
I can listen to Alison and Tyson
like,
all day, man.
Always listening to like what's
Yeah.
going on and how things are being received. It may not be like a direct line of communication where we say like, here's a poll on BungieNet, like vote for what you want us to do next.
Right.
But like there, not a day goes by where we're not like paying attention, listening, and thinking like, this is happening right now. This we didn't expect this, so we expected this. This is going to inform our plans, and we're going to change and evolve things. And I think the thing sometimes is it doesn't seem like that's happening because the lead times are so long. But it's literally not a day goes by that we're not paying attention to what's going on.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
I guess we are going.
I guess we are.
So I'm sure you guys don't want to hear the phrase Destiny 3, and this is the only time I'll mention it. But many people, when they ask for a Destiny 3, it's people who have stopped playing at some point in time.
And the
They're
engine.
looking for a fresh start, an excuse to
Engine
jump
update.
back into the franchise.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys are doing within the Edge of Fate that essentially, if someone who hasn't played Destiny 2 in years, but they enjoyed it, they're looking for a chance to jump back in, like why is now during Edge of Fate the time to do so?
Do you want to go first?
So
That's a damn good question right
I'm
there.
not going to say anything about the actual Fate saga of the story because I think Alison's going to do a much better job on that. But I will say that we're trying to do two really fundamental things with the starting in season 27. One is there's been a lot of like streamlining of the game. Like last year, if you came back into Destiny expecting to just play, you hit the director and it's like basically being slapped in the face with
A ton of stuff.
a Christmas tree of like things that are blinking at you, demanding your attention, quests being dumped into your log, like you do this, and you're just like, what am I supposed to do? the portal is intended to be like way smoother, like way easier to come in and like actually just, you know, pick something up, play the game, like have fun. There's almost nothing you can do on the portal that is not actually getting you progress towards, you know, better
Something.
gear, like more challenging activities,
Yeah.
like more aspirational targets. Like it's much easier to come in and play.
Yeah.
The second thing is we're trying to make the power and progression game much more approachable, much more accessible. You guys have seen it today with the power remapping down to a smaller number range. I mean, if
Vanilla
we do
Destiny
the
2.
first number you see is 2100. Like, why did they pick 2100? Well, we didn't. Like that's
It's just
accumulated over
arbitrarily
11
over
years,
time,
so
yeah.
This is a change that we're saying, like, you know, it's the old numbers are still there. Like, there's a tooltip that actually tells you what your old power is if you want to look at it, but we think it's just clearer and easier to read when it's a smaller number range. So that's there. And then the last thing is we're really pulling out the new gear and making it really easy to see, like, this is what's new in this season. This is what's good and benefiting from artifact bonuses in ways that previously was very obscure. It's just a lot easier to sit down fresh and say, I have a clue of what's going on here than has been previous years. We're not done. Like, over the next year of releases, we're continuing to work on this problem.
Yeah.
For Edge of Fate, our core mission is we really want to fix the game for core players, make sure that it's working really well. We're going to keep working on people who have taken a break, people maybe who've never played the game before. That is increasingly our focus as we move towards Renegades.
Yeah, and on the story side, one of the principles that our writers had was to never punish the player for not knowing something. That was a foundational belief that we had.
Well, that's interesting, 'cause there's a lot of
knowing,
lore
like,
that
this
people
is a
haven't
new
read.
Saga, we want to make sure that everyone feels like they can come along for the ride. And so as you experience the game, there'll be new, obviously, like new things introduced, but we always want to make sure that it is like taking the player along rather than going like, well, lucky for you, you read this very complicated text from 8 years ago, so you get to have a good time, everyone else is sorry. We want to make sure this is for everybody. And so anytime that we're referencing like a super deep lore cut, we want to make sure that that moment is like giving a thumbs up, good job to player for remembering if you do know what it is, and if you don't, there's a little bit where we get to explain in a natural, organic way what the context is and why that matters. We believe that this new saga needs to be one that everybody gets to come along the ride for, no matter how much or how little you know about Destiny.
That's fair.
I had a different question, but I'm gonna stick with yours for just a minute there. I mean, you're obviously not gonna be able to say something like, well, you know, we're working on this. Because, you know, you gotta talk about what you can talk about.
We can smile and nod.
Yeah, sure. We'll use TWID terminology.
Yeah.
So in the TWID, very often you'll post things like, okay, well, here's the problem, X, Y, Z, and then here's our solutions to tackle the problem. So we can't talk about the solution because that's NDA and stuff. What would you say are some of the problems in terms of like getting people maybe who have taken a long break to come back? What are some top issues that you're like, okay, in order for the next saga to succeed, these are like a couple of the top line issues that we really want to make sure that we tackle?
Okay, that's a decent question.
So one of them is there's so many like different facets of complexity. But one of the facets of complexity that's like just most pernicious about Destiny is it asks you to do too many things at the same time in too many different places. Like you've got your quest log, you've got challenges, you've got seasonal challenges, you've got weekly challenges, you've got like bounties, you've got triumphs, you've got guardian ranks. Like all these different things are like
Oh yeah.
We need to figure out how to solve that. So like the game is trying to like give you some objectives in a clear fashion. And we have some things going into Edge of Fate that fix that, and more things coming in future releases to like continue to like tighten that up so that sitting down, the first couple minutes of sitting down to play should be like, what do I want to play? Not like, what is even the space of things that I have to accomplish? And then like formulating a strategy, and by the time you actually
It did get like that.
Playing the game,
It did a
like
lot.
15, 20 minutes in, if you're lucky.
Right.
So that's a problem. A problem which is related to your question is if I'm coming into this game 5 years, 10 years after my friends, or even the rest of the game who are playing, like, why do I even feel like I'm playing the same game as these people? Like these people they're playing a much deeper, much more advanced, mature game because they themselves are more advanced players. How am I supposed to compete, much like, or like even understand the game that they're playing? Whereas, and then on the other side of that equation, like those people are like, I don't want a simpler game. I want a richer game. I want a deeper game. I want a more complex game. So the development
It's about finding
is always
balance,
gonna
right?
tend towards depth and complexity, but you gotta bring new people in. Like they gotta be able to step on board. How do we solve that problem? That's a hard problem. Like that's the kind of problem that like kills live service games.
Yeah.
We're gonna try very hard to not let it kill Destiny. So like that's.
Well, I fucking hope not.
There's probably some others, but like.
On the story side, more questions.
Oh, yeah.
Destiny is really good story wise at looking at its own belly button and like just kind of like obsessing over itself and not opening up the world and asking more questions and getting curious about all of the holes that we haven't touched yet. That is a gross
That's
way to phrase
probably
that.
why you are going into the
parts,
9.
The parts of Destiny doesn't look at, that's the parts I'm interested in. Being able to make our world move forward by bringing in new characters, asking new questions, making new mysteries. That's what this new
The 9 is the most mysterious thing
Are you
right
surprised
now.
by the large amount of the community that really wants to leave the solar system?
Well, it's not surprising. No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yes, it's not surprising. I will say that like I think that sometimes an IP can sort of get itself into trouble by like abandoning its roots.
Yep.
And moving too far away from where it's comfortable. But Destiny has gone outside the solar system. Destiny's gone outside the universe a couple of times.
Several
right?
dimensions we've
Yeah,
been
like-
outside of, yeah.
So it's not like we're not going to do that. you
Yeah.
know, but to the question about like
Yeah.
what's a new player coming to Destiny like. If you come into Destiny, the very first place you go is like
The tower.
Fundament. You're like, it's like,
Oh.
where the hell is this place? And like a deep Destiny player is like, oh my god, they're going there. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Like there's or Toro Bottle is a great example. It's like,
Yeah.
like, do we want to go there? Yeah, sure. Is that the place where we should go right now, where we're like starting off a new saga? Maybe not the right time for that sort of thing.
It's about
For me,
story,
I
right?
think it's the note behind the note. Like the desire for something new and
Yeah.
like something fresh and some big questions. Like that's the actual
Yeah.
request.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I'm excited for too.
Diving more into the actual game itself, I really enjoyed seeing new weapon types. I really enjoyed when they were expanded. It felt like there was maybe a while where they weren't expanded upon, and then with the final shape, you had much more rocket sidearms, you had the healing auto rifles, and
Yeah.
now we have rocket pulse rifles, we have spread shot hand cannons.
Yeah, I can't wait for
Will
that.
this kind of development into new like weapon types, weapon archetypes, can we expect this to continue? Like to be a normal?
I can imagine so, right?
I mean,
That's an easy
I
yes
think
answer,
the
right?
pace is going to ebb and flow. You can't just make rocket everything. I was actually teasing Riley about this the other day. But I think the team is always like looking for low-hanging fruit, but they're also looking for like holes and like gaps in the offering. And when they see those, they're like, we don't have to tell them like we need a new like sub-archetype. Like the team is like, I would like to make something that fits this hole, like solves this problem space, like that solves this gap in the arsenal. So I expect that they're going to do that. I don't think you're going to see like huge surges of those in every single release because I actually do think to some degree it destabilizes the game.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you do
yeah,
too
yeah,
much
yeah.
of that all at once
Yeah,
and
yeah,
don't
yeah.
let it settle and gel.
Yeah.
But what I am pleased to see is like the rocket sidearm that was introduced, and then we did another, and now we've done like a few more, and it's just sort of like it's
Gradual.
settling into its own role in the sandbox. I want to make sure that we're releasing these things at such a pace that we can actually let them settle into the sandbox and not turn into that one weird destabilizing element that we never really came back to and eventually nerfed into oblivion because it was just too much trouble to maintain. That's what I want to avoid. So yes, but we're gonna like be paced about it.
That's a smart reply.
So, playing Edge of Fate seemed pretty clear that there was the biggest change to me, noticeable right away from a gameplay perspective, was the addition of a fair amount of you know, kind of like a puzzle element.
Mm-hmm.
So just two questions there. One, what was the inspiration, or maybe what was the decision that led to the team sitting down and being like, I think we should add this puzzle element to Destiny that wasn't quite as strong before.
Yeah.
And then the second question is, have you seen a good testing response to that so far? Because I'm very curious to know how the community is going to
That's
react
definitely going to be
because I
implemented in
feel
the
like
raids
there's
as well,
gonna
so
be
get
some
used to
people
it.
who react quite positively to it.
100% the new
That's
raid is going to have the new planetary
and
elements.
there might be some people who might not react so positively to it. But I just wanted to know what the decision was that led to it, and if you've heard good feedback so far.
Yeah, it was one of the earliest conversations that we had at the leadership level. We were interested in trying something new, and I remember a handful of us were like, we want to do a Metroidvania like so badly.
And the thing is, like, as soon we
I'd
had
love to be at these
establish this
conversations,
paradigm
man.
Of expansions being places where you can innovate.
Yes, yeah.
Like that was a very early goal of like a lot of these changes that we are bringing to bear starting in season 27 with Edge of Fate. Once we had like established that there's going to be a box called Edge of Fate, or it didn't have a name back then. What could go in that box? And we there's a bunch of like ideas pitched and thrown out.
I'd love to know
it's
the
actually
ideas
very
as well.
common with our expansion in the past, like someone's like, what if we did a space western and turned into Forsaken? What if we did an 80s action movie and turned into Lightfall, right? In this one, there was a thing that we gravitated onto really early was our dungeons. The dungeons that we build, they often have these sort of exploration and puzzle mechanics built into them. They challenge our players to do more than just shoot through the encounters and kill harder. You gotta figure them out. And then that they were well, there's this whole really recognizable genre of Metroidvanias that do similar things, and Dreaming City did some of this too, and that was really satisfying. And Edge of Fate was playing in this space too with some of its campaign missions. So yeah, what if we really leaned into this and really made an expansion all about this? Mm-hmm. And we say Metroidvania often because it's a term that people in games know.
Yeah.
But it actually
It's
very much
relatable,
draws
right?
its inspiration from some of our dungeons and our destinations like Dreaming City. So it's sort of a fusion of a bunch of things that inspire us.
I see.
But that happened, I think, really quite early on, where we're saying, how do we explore a space and actually engage more of your gamer brain than just your aiming and shooting components.
Has the response been good so far?
Oh, I would say in internal playtesting and user research playtesting, which we do a fair amount of, it's been very positive. It's obviously it's kind of hard to tell until they mature.
It needs to be in the player's hands for that to be an accurate answer, I think.
I was watching the playtest lab. A couple of the guys here, they were like, "Hey, I kind of broke this puzzle by just jumping past it," and I was like, "Huh, maybe we should leave that in the game because
Yeah,
it's
I
kind of
think
cool."
That's kind of funny.
But those things,
I love that.
Your early response can be really bad because the puzzle mechanics aren't polished. It's not fun to play. But then it gets good once you cross this certain.
Yeah, I see what he means.
I think it's going to be pretty positive. I hope it's going to be positive. I don't want to presume anything.
That's fair. Thank you.
It looks fun.
I have an idea for the last 5 minutes. We have 10 minutes. 5 minutes, I think, rapid fire. So if you guys have deeper questions you want to answer for the next...
Ah, Boy
Do you
Scarrow, I
have
love
any
it.
deeper questions you'd
This
like to
man's
ask?
got it,
Can I
man.
build off his? And
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is a
please,
rapid
please.
fire?
Yeah,
Go for it. So, a lot of puzzles, a lot of secret chests I saw. Here's my question as a more advanced player, someone who plays a lot. Why am I doing them? Because if I don't care about the title,
Yeah.
why am I doing them?
A lot of those chests that you're seeing as you play through, they have gear that's good for you as you're playing through. There's good power bumps, and they tend to drop at higher tiers. Some of them are admittedly for players who want to explore. So some of them,
Yeah.
for
If that's
power
your
user
area,
who's,
then
really goal
that's for you.
I want to get a build together. I want to be doing the raid. I want to be doing the hard stuff. It's okay. Some of those things aren't there for you. Some of those are there for the people who they want the title. They want to
Yeah.
get the boxes. They want. To
I
be
think that's a fair
consistent
answer.
with players. We recognize different.
I'll just say real quick, you have to be an absolute fool if every single aspect of the game has to cater to you and how you feel on what your ideology of fun is, because that's just impossible. That is such a narrow-minded mindset to have if you are that person, because like this game has hundreds of thousands of players at peak when a new expansion comes out. There's no way every single aspect of the game is going to cater individually to over 100,000 people, and like just not possible. There's going to be things in the game which you enjoy. There's going to be things in the game which other people won't like that you enjoy, and that's fine. There's other things to do.
Categories of players. Do we call them cohorts now? I can't remember.
Cohort sounds right.
Cohorts.
That's a good word.
Anyways, we've been through a bunch of terminology, so forgive me. But there's like a story socializer cohort. There's like a collaborative challenge contender cohort. But there's one cohort that we call we don't call them this. It's the title I was giving them is lonely lore lovers. And these are the people who actually like playing the game on their own and really enjoying it and like soaking up what the game has to offer. They love having collectibles and they love having things to find and discover. They like when they go around a corner that was like kind of hard to get to. They actually found something that recognizes the accomplishment of having done so. It's like, yeah,
Okay.
like those are fun.
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks,
For
right?
sure.
Like, and that's we have a big range to cover, so that's what we try to do.
Cool. Any plans for more Crucible maps?
Hey.
More Crucible maps. No plans right now at this moment.
Hey, at least he's honest.
Because what we're focusing on with the Crucible experience is we really want the reward experience to be much stronger than it has been in the past. We want there to be a route to like basically the highest tiers of gears internal to Crucible. There's like new sets of like Crucible gear available.
Yeah.
And then a lot of like quality of life in the Crucible space,
Yeah.
like how the scoring systems work and how like matchmaking works. Maps are something we're definitely going to keep making in the future, but because we've been focusing on other aspects of the game in this release,
Yeah, there's a huge update
definitely
this
put it out
game.
at this time.
Sorry, this expansion.
So, the sandbox living, breathing thing, always changing, right?
Yeah.
So if you have these bullseyes, these targets that you're kind of nailing one at a time, and then, you have Armor 3.0 or the new gear system, further out, is there something that you're thinking, what would be a sandbox update that you would like to maybe tweak in the future if you could, or evolve, or something?
Ooh,
You've got a list.
There's so many of them, like, and I'll say a few of them without any like time frame because we don't know what the time frame is. I think there's the properties of the artifact that I'd like to change, especially like being able to fold it into loadouts, which is a thing that's technically very difficult for us to do right now, but we want to make that easier.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about combatant counterplay, where the combatants themselves right now can be just bowled over by the player, and like, how can we give them a little bit more pushback without just like turning them into bullet
That's
sponges?
true.
That's a whole space and domain of like interesting development. I would be interested someday in like exploring vehicle sandboxes. There's a lot of that in my
Yes.
like first person shooter DNA.
Yes.
Explore. But there's just so much for us to like look at, engage. Like subclasses, like subclass mechanics. We had such a transformative change in Witch Queen with the subclass 3.0. What is the next evolution and transformation along
Say
those
the
lines?
thing.
Something that lives in my mind a lot. But yeah, there's our sandbox experience has got so many like facets that we want to like grab and like bring up and upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could talk about those for hours.
Sure. You got one, Rick?
I was going back. Okay, well, I'll go. Essentially, I think the question I have one here is like, when are we going to get the missing third darkness element? But I know I'm not going to get much from you
No.
guys on that. So I think the question I want to
I
ask
wanna
here
know.
is,
Oh, I should
seems like,
have dug with that. Should
a
have
lot of
dug with
development
that.
time. Well, I don't want to spend the development time, but we have these brand new Kepler mechanics, Matter Ball. We have the
Matter Spark.
that you can shift the environment and all these things. Will we ever see these mechanics on anywhere other than Kepler, like in future content?
Without making any promises, because at this moment in time there are no plans to like take them out of Kepler, but we've taken a lot of past mechanics out of like past expansions and past content and like
Yeah.
reintroduced them in fun new ways in different places. So it'd be, I wouldn't bet against stuff like that showing up in different contexts.
That's fair. It depends how it's received, right?
Matter Ball Crucible mode, like, and I'm sure somebody at some point is just going to do that, and it's going to be hysterical, and then we're going to like actually step back, take a look at it, and be like, oh, actually that would work if we did this. So that's once we introduce elements into Destiny, we don't forget about them. We like look back at them and say like, is there a way to do this? And you will see some of that in coming releases with elements that we've had in the past. So
It's the fridge, right?
yeah, it's the fridge.
Yeah.
It's the gameplay version of the fridge. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I always think just like how you have in Hypernet Current the Sparrow section, you could just have a Matter Ball section in a new strike
Yeah,
would be kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
cool.
it could be, well, and especially like
Same.
once you have that destination, you're just like, well, if players come back to Kepler to do something else, like a different mission or a different like activity, is like, hey, did you unlock like the top form of Matter Ball? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you get to play with it here.
Let's say you had Magic Microphone and you can speak to everyone who has not played Destiny 2 for a number of years.
Yeah.
You have elevator pitch. I mean, hey, we have 2 minutes. Give them
Yeah.
maybe like 30 seconds each. Why should they come back to play Edge of Fate?
Oh God, I'm using all my time. I think it's
Being put on the spotlight, that's a tough question.
but the elevator pitch is Destiny has one of the deepest like offerings of like high quality shooter content ever assembled into a video game.
Very
it's
true.
very easily to access. There's like great rewards that you can like just put these amazing builds, like a lot of different like capabilities. It is a very, very much more welcoming experience than you may expect it to be.
Yeah.
God, that's awful. It's a good thing I'm not in marketing.
You don't need to watch a 2-hour YouTube video to understand what's going on.
They don't want to hear you say that.
But they can if they want to.
Come on to
You
the
can't.
straight
Yes.
channel.
We're not live
If
right
you
now.
want
We're
to.
not live.
Yes,
We're not.
these are
I was like, damn, just Phil might invite the boss there.
Wow.
Yeah, I know for a lot of like my personal friends who
Wow.
don't play Destiny, and they're like, I really want to play, but it sounds like there's like a lot I need to study.
Yeah.
You don't got to study for this
Oh my
one.
God,
Come
yes.
on in. Yeah.
Like, you
Nice.
don't need a
That's a good
PhD to
one.
play Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm gonna go until we get kicked out. A lot of end game things are changing. The holofoils have transformed how a lot of people farm end game
Wow.
activities.
I love
You have
lore.
the
I
tier
studied
5
the lore of the
weapons
game
that
for
are
years.
Any changes
I don't
to
mind.
the title system that you can? It's kind of stagnated for the last number of years.
I don't think there's any changes coming in Edge of Fate beyond just sort of like tightening and cleaning it up.
Okay.
I think we've had a lot of like triumphs that don't contribute to the title, and we're trying to like tighten that and just like get
Yep.
it like focused. So I think the answer right now is no.
Okay.
There's nothing changing about titles, but titles are a clear focal point for triumph-like content
Yep.
in starting in Edge of Fate.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
What's a lore question you wish someone has asked you, but no one has asked you yet?
Oh,
It's actually a spoiler,
Oh,
so
no.
I can't say.
Who's your
Aw.
favorite member of the Nine?
Oh, the sun. Oh my god. Easy. The sun. Four is a very close runner-up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
I so badly want to have a conversation
It's
with her.
you're gonna love them.
Okay.
They're great. All my friends are great.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so
That was
much.
so
Yes,
sick.
guys. Yeah.
Alright, well, that's the end of the video. Yeah, bit of a long one. I know that Milo's also uploaded one as well, and I do actually want to watch that one. I might record it, I might not. I don't want to keep on making these reaction videos because I'm a Destiny 2 YouTuber. I have my own content to make. I don't want to keep on reacting to other people's content. The only reason why I'm doing it for this specifically is because this is the new expansion, man. We're getting new information about the expansion. Like, obviously, I'm going to have tons of content on the way, but these guys obviously were very fortunate enough to get some inside information. I want to bring my opinion to you guys, so definitely let me just very quickly put a disclaimer out there. I'm not a reaction channel. This is just so I can give my opinion on these things because Destiny's my game. And yeah, I'm excited for all the new stuff coming out. Obviously, we've got Fallout Plays, Kakis, and Scarrow here. Absolutely incredible guys. Like, they are very, very good at what they do. Veteran players of the D2 community. So hats off to them for giving them all of these amazing questions here. And oh my god, Alison Lurs, 10 out of 10. I would absolutely love to just have a conversation with her and just talk about lore for just fucking days. And Tyson Green, I've got the utmost confidence that this man has got everything under control because he is an absolute Bungie veteran. He's been there since the very beginning of Halo. Like, yeah, I do have a very, very uplifted and very hopeful mindset that things are actually going to be okay. It's not as serious as what I think people are making it out to be. But yeah, absolutely love this interview. 10 out of 10 to the lads. Guys, you did a fantastic job. Yeah, I'm going to check out Milo's one because Milo is coming at this from a different perspective because he's got fresh eyes to Destiny 2. So I'm also interested to see his take on that. Again, I might record it, I might not. Keep an eye out for the channel, guys. I have got a lot of content on the way. And with obviously Edge of Fate getting closer and closer, I will be going live for that as well. Ah, man. Yes, I'm very excited. Guys, let me know what you thought of this interview. What questions would you ask the Bungie devs if you were in a room with them right now? I would definitely talk about the Tiger engine. I'm actually shocked that that hasn't been brought up yet. But yeah, guys, again, thank you so much for your time today. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.